Welcome back to my interview with Sheryl Wagner from 2023. And if you're just joining us now, please feel free to start at part 1. You can check out the description box below for more information, including Sheryl's Substack and how to get your copy of Uncovering Intuition. And now back to the interview.
That's amazing. So you have so many exercises in your book. I loved all of them, first of all, but I can see how anyone can easily build their practice and connection with whatever they need. So if anybody is looking for just to get in, even just I feel like every exercise, it's like everything is like getting into the shallow end and then going deeper and deeper.
Yes.
So you do such a great job at making it comfortable for a person who just doesn't at all know what they're doing. And I love that you talked about ADHD and hypersensitivity. And I'm not diagnosed as ADHD. I do think I am. And I definitely think I'm hypersensitive.
Yeah.
But do you think that, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but do you think that non-neurotypical, isn't that what it's called? Non-neurotypical and neurodivergent?
Yeah, neurodivergent. Yeah.
Right. Do you feel like, and I'm not saying all, but let's say, well, just whatever you think. Do you feel that neurodivergence kind of shows that a person might be experiencing information from other places instead of just so directly? Meaning through psychic sensitivity, even if it's not, being used for that. It's you're picking up things in the room, or you're intuiting things before other people can see them, kind of thing.
Yeah, I do find it really fascinating, the overlap between these, neurological conditions like ADHD or, people in my family on the autism spectrum. And so I definitely consider and identify myself as neurodivergent. I have lots of friends that are neurodivergent, and I tend to find people like that. I think self-diagnosing is really valuable, especially as an adult woman in this, in the US. If, people don't have, it's a very expensive, lengthy process. I'm really privileged to have been able to, get that information and diagnosis even in my 30s. But I do feel like there is this sort of overlap, and even in, the neurological issues like migraine, like ADHD, autism, things like that, and they sort of overlap. And the extreme, the highly sensitive person, or, extreme sensitivity, I definitely see that, with family members with autism and in myself, with the ADHD. And I think, mediumship is such a sensitivity. Intuition is a sensitivity. And I think that, there is an interesting overlap. Obviously I'm not a scientist, but I'm fascinated by it.
It's just so curious, right?
Yeah. And it comes back to me a lot. It comes around, and people mention it a lot, and they see that experience reflected at them. But I think that a lot of people with ADHD tend to miss really big things. We feel like we missed out on something, or we missed a conversation, but we become very aware of, problems that other people don't see. So that's one thing I could speak to, is that I think that, that sensitivity to energy, or if you've been accused of kind of seeing an issue where there isn't one, but it's a really big issue for us. I think a lot of that is tied to the energy that we can feel from other people and how it affects our nervous system, especially if we're undiagnosed. Because then we don't give ourselves that grace, right? We don't give ourselves that support. We don't think of ourselves as, I'm different. This is really valuable and useful to the world. We think, I'm different. What's wrong with me? So I think there's a lot of overlap there. And that's why, I think it's so good to talk about it, so that people can feel less alone.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's things like meditation are really great for somebody who has ADHD, but I think it's important, especially if you want to psychically develop, you have to meditate. There's just no way around it. But if you want to just calm yourself down, meditation is another, it's just the hub, it's the major hub of everything. But it's very important to also know that it's not to get you to stop being who you are.
No.
It's not, because it is actually, I think, even though this capitalistic or, just work-oriented time period really benefits from somebody who's not ADHD.
Yeah.
Somebody who's very fixated, somebody who always feels that, they have to live up to a responsibility. But I think that, seeing also technology shift, it really brought out that person, because now we can automate things, or we can work on 8 different things at one time, or we can do certain things that actually make us even more valuable, but we're not told we're valuable because we have to go by some sort of corporate ladder or understanding that is hardly ever intuitive. Like, I mean, like, consider their PC computers. Half the time, if I'm talking to a customer service person, they're like, I'm so sorry it's taking so long for my computer to upstart. And I'm like, man, if you just got all these like fast working ADHD people on this, like, you have everything automated, because we're so intuitive. It's like, I can see where we're going, and it doesn't matter what it takes to get there, but I can like create this thing. So yeah, like, it's super fascinating, like on all levels.
Definitely.
You said something I think everyone who's opening their psychic gifts or practicing with tarot needs to hear. And I want to read this section too. Like, I loved your book. Okay, so this was when you were talking to your son. I think it might be the younger one, about Josh.
Yes.
And he was, you were practicing mediumship with him. You were testing something out for your workshop. Maybe it could have been,
Yes.
But he at one point got kind of like scared and insecure, like we all do.
Yes.
And you said, I have to stop and say here, meaning in the book, that, well, this doesn't make sense is perhaps my favorite thing to hear when someone is practicing mediumship or intuition. It's perfect in revealing the true connection because when something is coming to us from the spirit world or our intuition, we don't always know how to make sense of it. Conversely, when it's coming from our logical mind, it may make perfect sense, and that may be an indication that we've made an assumption or inserted one of our thoughts, hopes, or desires into the message. Yeah. Can you elaborate on that? I thought that was so perfect to say and perfectly said.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I definitely can. And I see it all the time. I still deal with it, because I'm a professional medium, so I'm doing readings all the time. And a lot of times, some of like the really great readings I'm doing, what I'm saying is not making sense to me, because if I haven't identified, if my ego isn't involved, or like the human personality of me isn't involved, and I'm just really being this channel, and I haven't identified with the situation, it doesn't make sense to me, so it doesn't, I don't understand it, but that's okay. So it's like about how to like learn how to just be in that discomfort. But I see that with people practicing psychic work, intuition, mediumship all the time. They'll say to me, oh, this is really weird. Or they don't want to tell me what they're getting. And I'm like, that's the good stuff. That's the exciting stuff. Because if it's weird to you, if it's something you don't want to say, it's right. It's usually right. Because if it made sense to you, or you felt like, oh, I know exactly what's happening, then you're probably making an assumption. I mean, it's natural. We make assumptions all the time, but something coming to you can seem strange and foreign. Something coming from you can seem really comfortable. And so that's how I differentiate it.
I love that, because it's almost like, as psychics, we go into like the ocean, we don't know what's going to swim up. And I'll see on like Instagram every day, like I follow all these animal stuff, and I'll see like a new underwater species all the time. And like, what is that? I've never seen that before. But that's the same feeling. It's like you have to be able to communicate it. And what I think is also important, and something that everybody should know and hear, because we've talked about this before, and you actually validated me with this, because I had only really heard of, well, and probably because it took me a long time to even open up. So I'm sure a lot of other people, see it the way we do, or experience it the way that we do. But I'd only heard of it as like symbols for a long time. Like people would see like a rose, and people would see this, and I would see actual scenes. Like I would see scenes played out. And I'm like, are you trying to show me a symbol in the scene? And they're like, no, we're just like, they don't even say no. They're just like, you just say it. You say it out loud. And instead of feeling like, if you're practicing this, if you want to go this way, instead of feeling like, oh, am I crazy? Just say it. If the person recognizes it, then you're obviously not crazy. That's the whole point, is like, it should be evidence-based, just so that you don't feel so attached to what you just said, so that you don't feel like you're carrying something and not certain about. So try to go maybe that little extra like mile, and just let yourself feel whatever it is, and let the other person tell you if you're off or if you're on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when we're starting out doing psychic work or mediumship, we have to be, a little brave and bold in our statements. Because, there's plenty of people that are, working and saying really vague information, but that's not going to change anyone's life. It's not going to shift our perspective. And so as much as, we deserve comfort, we deserve to feel comfortable and safe. The work is not always the place for it, so I think we are taking a certain amount of risk.
That's our job.
Yeah, that's our job.
We like it. We like doing it.
I feel like it's sort of a purpose or calling, right? And so it's just, we have to manage our energy. And, if I'm doing, 4 readings a day, so 4 hours out of that day, I might feel a little uncomfortable, but it's also, lovely work and exhilarating. And, you feel a sense of, I do feel a sense of pride and purpose in my work. But yeah, I think it takes courage in the beginning because, we have, the conscious mind is so strong. It has that hold of like wanting to protect you, wanting to keep you safe. We don't want to look foolish, right? Yeah. And so we're trained, rightfully so in our society to be that way. And so it's sort of psychic work, mediumship work goes really against that because I could be giving a talk to 50 people, doing a demonstration, and I have no idea what I'm going to be talking about. I could be talking about all kinds of things that are uncomfortable, and I have no way to plan or pre-plan,
Yeah. And I mean, if this is the place that you like, if that's the space you like to be in, it really is a beautiful space. Like it's so freeing space. In a lot of ways. Yeah. It's like, those incredible artists that just like go at a painting, like they're not, or like a jazz, like freeform musician, it's not that obviously that person went through such lengths of training and skill, all, anything that anybody needs to be a master at anything. But that means that then you can break it up and kind of enjoy what it is you're experiencing. And that's what, if you were to develop yourself, just know that that's like a process. It is a process of like feeling a little nuts. Like you just do. Like there's no way around that.
I think there's a lot of questioning of the self. And, when I do, training or coaching with other mediums, that's about half of my work. It's a lot of building confidence, right? It's not about me teaching someone else mediumship because that connection is innately there. It's natural. It's the humans we have to deal with. And so it's like, how am I going to present this information, and learn to trust myself and trust my body, and all those pieces are so connected.
I love it. Okay, so we're finally going to get to tarot.
Okay.
So I am so excited to talk to you about tarot. I know you mainly as a medium. I don't think I've done a tarot reading with you. So I know this also from your book, but please tell everybody, what is your tarot deck? Like, what's the one that you turn to? What's the one that you love, and why do you love it?
Yeah, so I love the Fountain Tarot. I'm like holding it up for you, even though no one can see me. But
I'm putting a picture. I'm giving everybody a picture so everyone can see it. Yes,
I love the Fountain Tarot. I love it's an independent artist deck. I love the artwork. I think they're originally oil paintings. They're beautiful.
They look like it. Yeah, they're beautiful.
They're very diverse. This is. I got this deck a couple years ago when I was reading professionally, maybe 4 years ago. And I love it. It's definitely one of my go-tos. So that's what I brought with me today.
Oh, I love that. I've been looking at them. I don't have that deck, but I've heard so much about it. And when I was looking through the images, they just look like almost like dream photos. Yeah. Like they're almost like, just like a moment in a dream. You know what I mean? Yes. And that's just beautiful. It's just like, it just kind of gave me, like, I like to look for decks based on what somebody's going to ask me because it just helps inform my intuition. And that kind of a deck is, for me, is so good for like, questions about the unknown or questions about, like I'm just so, unsure about where I'm going or what I'm doing, or not everybody has that open of a question, and those just really felt like very, something just sort of coming out of the abyss kind of thing,
Yeah, I think it's a great deck for stimulating intuition too. So, just because I'm using it professionally, like someone could easily pick up this deck as a beginner and feel really inspired by the imagery. And I hope they do.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So when you're performing a tarot reading, what's your ritual prior to that tarot reading? Do you do anything? Do you like pray? Do you light a incense, candle? Do you do anything at all?
Yeah, I do. So before I come into the office, I feel like there's a lot of sort of me coming in here, for mediumship, for intuitive readings. That's what I would call when I do a tarot reading. It would be an intuitive reading, and I sort of preparing for the day before all of my clients, and that just consists of like clearing my space, kind of getting my energy. It's less of a calming down and sort of more of a psyching up. And so for me, like my work is really active. And so I might put music on and I'm kind of clearing my space. I could burn, herbs, or I have spray, depends on, my mood. And then I'm really not really tuning in or doing much, I'm not meditating ahead of time. I kind of like to keep that energy really high and active. That's what works for me. And I feel most, connected to source, to my guides, to the divine.
Yes.
And then right when I have someone come on, I just take a moment and I ask them to just say their full name, and I just take a breath and, close my eyes. And that's the vibration of them saying their own name is usually what connects me to my first, I guess, where we're going, the beginning, right? And then I like to, without them telling me anything, sort of do an overview of energy, of cycles, of patterns. Sometimes I'll feel like what their soul is experiencing. I'll feel what their personality is experiencing, and I'll try to see how the two are in alignment. And then, of course, people have questions. So then I'll go, to the client. So that's sort of my, I guess I was talking about this the other day. It's like intention. I feel like sometimes, I used to sit and say the words, this is my intention. And I kind of had the, for the highest good of everyone involved. And I would say it out. And now I sort of think of it as like my intention is so embodied. And it's just sort of a telepathic connection with the other world. It's almost like, if, I'm a defensive driver. So when I get in my car, I'm not like, okay, be careful, and like, I'm not talking it out. I just am. I'm just like, driving carefully. It's like in me, so I feel like that's sort of, I've taken, I think rituals are so amazing and they're so helpful and supportive, but I think that we can over ritualize and we can get to the point where we make it less intuitive, more about the steps.
Anxious, right? Yeah.
And so
almost
I'm
induces
more
anxiety.
Free with it, more telepathic with it. And I think my intention is sort of just embodied in everything I do. I have a lot of intentions with my work, but, one of them is that I'm never going to be revealing, upsetting truths in a reading. It's more about like reflecting, what you're ready to hear, what you need to hear. And so it's not, and that's specific, I think, to mediumship too. It's not about revealing anything negative ever. It's about what's the way forward,
Yeah, I think that's also, every person has the way that they want to approach that. And I think that's such a healthy way of doing it, because depending on what somebody's going through, they may not actually want to hear certain things, like they may not be ready to hear certain things. And it's also up to your own integrity or whatever it is that you're providing. It's like, what do I want you to walk away with? I want you to have some sort of either resolution or maybe, a plan of action or just like maybe some reflection or whatever. But there are certain things that not everybody needs to hear, like it's just not, people like, I can handle it. And it's like, yeah, but like, why would you want to? Like, why would you want that? That's just too heavy.
And I'm always going to have, integrity is really important to me. And I'm always going to, if something horrible is going on, I'm always going to represent that and reflect it if I feel it. If it's a situation, it's extreme or abuse or something like that, and I'm feeling it, I'm going to say it.
Sure.
But my intention is that I'm not revealing something. My client already knows. And so it's meant to be in the spirit of, validation and then, really upliftment.
I love it.
No matter how bad stuff is, and like when people are coming in, they're not usually on having their best day.
I know, right? Exactly.
Right? So
they're very rare.
So they're either, for me, they're either grieving, they're grieving the loss of a loved one, possibly feeling really lost or alone. And I think it's about validating what's happening. Yeah. And then what's the way forward, and that doesn't come from me, that comes from the other world. And so that's always going to be, when I'm connecting with it, it's always going to be pure and loving and uplifting. And that, what they need to hear.
I love that. So with with your telepathic and, kind of intuitive way of moving through it, do you then use spreads at all, or do you just kind of like pull cards and like look at them spontaneously, intuitively? How do you handle like the idea of like structured ways of reading?
I do a couple spreads. So I do like spreads. I do like the position of the tarot. I do like to know, I have one spread where it's like the card on the bottom is sort of like what, like I said, like what the soul
I love
is
the bottom
experiencing.
Of the deck. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so I'll put down one card and then cross the other one on top of it. And that's like what the personality is experiencing. And then I'll kind of go, a bridge of like, the past, the present, the future, what's happening. I do like the position of the cards. I do love tarot truly, and I do appreciate the structure of it. So I have a few different spreads that I work with that just come intuitively, but I know where they land and what it means. Yeah. I think
because sometimes it's nice to be in that ocean, but sometimes it's also nice to follow the turtle. You're not exactly just
it's
there,
true.
like
it's
seeing
true.
things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it gives it just like, because, and I love that I think you actually gave me this idea to do all day one thing and another day,
yes,
another thing, because it is hard, to switch back and forth between how much reception it's all reception, but it's like if there's positions, you're like following a storyline, where you're able to like connect, you're able to jump off of something, where when you're doing mediumship or trance channeling or anything like that is like coming from nowhere. Like everybody's coming from nowhere.
Yeah, it's a different energy. I'm able to do, intuitive readings, mediumship readings. I can kind of move between. And a lot of people are wanting both that are coming to me. They're wanting a mixture of both, which is great. And I think that's a really natural thing to take it back to. Like if we were in that village 100 years ago, I wouldn't be like, handing out like brochures. I would just like telling them what they needed to hear. Right.
Exactly. So like trying to escape from the awful, evil people that want to kill you too, but you just run up. You're like,
it's true.
This is like where you need to go. This is your path.
The consumerism is like limiting, but I'm naturally doing usually a combination of both. But yes, I think it's a really different energy when you're starting out. It's good to find out what uniquely works for you. And I think anyone that is doing this work, that is an entrepreneur, like you always should feel free to change your mind, change your process. It is not easy. So do what works for you.
Preach.
Thank you very much for joining us. And if you'd like to sign up to my Substack, you will receive a newsletter every Sunday called This Week in the Sky. And that's where we go over what is coming up in astrology in the week ahead. So I will let you all know what retrogrades are coming up, when transits are happening, when new moons, full moons, eclipses, all sorts of things. So that's where I discuss that. And I also offer a little tarot reading every week. So if you like that kind of thing, feel free to sign up to my Substack, and you can find that in the description box below. Thank you again, and I will be seeing you soon. Take care.